Okay, so what I decided to do this time is I have actually just downloaded the image straight to my iPad, so I don't have to keep turning my head. So we have gotten this far last week. This is where we left off. The colors, I got image right here. One of the things I forgot to mention in terms of medium, Paul Arrigo's work, this specific image is actually done in pastel. So we clearly won't be able to do the exact same thing. I'm going to continue with this idea of working on the background first and working my way from back to front. I'm not going to do the entire background because it's way too much. So I'll just start with her chair. I'm looking at the colors that we have in a chair. Let me share that image with you all so you also can recall. That's the image that we're working with right now. And so first thing I'm going to be working on is this chair, perhaps a little bit of like the stuff around it just to help us sculpt the shapes. So like I said, I'm still looking at my proportions, make sure I'm keeping that kind of going. Should go up to the hair. The ochre below is sort of interacting with the red, that alizarin red I'm using right now. So I might have to bring in just a hint of blue to kind of bring that out more. All right, so we got that. I want to revisit some of these shadows that I have originally put there. Now, the thing to remember is that that's what we were talking about last week. Like, the reason I want to do the background first, or whatever is the object behind the figure, is because I want to make sure that the figure is actually on top of the background, right? And sort of what we were talking about earlier with Susie is she nicely painted the background first. So then when she put the trees in the front, she didn't have to worry about trying to fit in the sort of the sky, that the atmospheric perspective between the tree lines or between the branches. That would really be painful. So same thing we're going to do here. We're just going to lay out whatever's in the back, and now we'll be able to put the figure in front of that. And then the last thing we'll do is sort of look at the highlights and little detail that we could help us. So where the figure and that object meet, at least I don't have to worry about those edges right now. I can always kind of come in and revisit them. Mix up this gray or sort of tanned color for the pants right now. Then we'll put that in next, and then we'll just look at the skin tone and add those in, and then kind of revisit the face and call it a day. And you see now I'm actually being really anal because I mixed up the shirt, and the shirt was not the right kind of blue. It should be grayer. So of course I couldn't just let it be. Now I going back in it, and I'm just kind of trying to just do a little maybe dabs and additions left and right just to kind of match it a little bit more. Okay, I think for the most part I've blocked out all on the female figure, and I'll use a different I'll mix a different color for him because she seems to be warmer colors than he is. The guy seems to be a little on the cooler side in terms of the his skin tone. So okay, so you can kind of see how I've blocked in. Now we'll bring in a little more white here. Okay, so we got her now kind of blocked in terms of colors, and now we'll revisit it with this more detailed for more precise kind of articulation of face and the hands and stuff like that. Because now it gives me a really nice opportunity to add the guy into it, and then we'll revisit it for some sort of detailed. One thing I forgot to tell you, since this is acrylic, you could really use other media on top of this. So if you wanted to use pastels or chalk, and what I'm going to do is right now, while I'm letting so now I added the tones on the guy, so you kind of see where the figures are going to be. I'm just going to add a little more, like back here, it's a little bit of this here, these shadows, and it helped me carve out his figure as well. Now I'm gonna let this sit. It kind of gave me the basic structure of what I'm looking for. Now I'm going to do some touch up and do a little sort of detailed, small, detailed, precise little revisits to figures with a finer brush. So we're gonna do like the eye, the eyes and the eyebrows and that sort of stuff. One thing you see, like what I'm doing right now, is I'm working left to right. That way I don't smudge as I'm. His leg comes in, her arm comes down right about there. Okay. Just so you know, I don't talk to myself like this when I paint. It's not like I'm saying in my mind, ooh, and I'm going to this arm. Ooh, I'm going to fill into this leg. I don't really do that. Although there's nothing wrong if you want to start doing that. Some of the work I do is already sort of has people turn their head a little bit if I was talking to myself while I was doing it. If I go in with too much color right now, the whole thing is going to get really muddy, and I don't want that to happen. So I still need to revisit and add some highlights on the figures. For example, you can tell right away that her face needs to have more highlights. Her legs, particularly around the knee and down the shin, needs more highlight, and then up the arm. Because that's really going to sort of convey that the foreshortening that we see on Paul Arrigo's work. And then the same thing with his face. His face needs to really kind of come more apart through the use of highlights and maybe even a couple more dabs of a darker color to kind of articulate those planes a little bit. But overall, it's kind of headed where I feel okay with it. I mean, I don't love it. I'm not going to submit it to MoMA, but This was a wrong call on a brush. At least for these smaller parts in her face. I look at just how adding a little bit of highlights to the figures adds a lot more articulation to that figure.